Hello Capricorn, this is your extended reading. So the interesting thing that is happening right now is like your reading from the first part has just taken a very interesting, very challenging actually turn to me as a reader, because I've been, sat down here asking myself which is the case that is happening that I'm trying to see. But I feel like it will vary depending on your situation. So maybe you'll know how it fits best. So, what I'm trying to say is it feels like this part of your reading may feel like communication while we were talking about a free circulation. So maybe it's not just of movement, of physical movement, but it's also of communicating between timelines, or with future timelines, because I feel like there is some sort of communication that is coming from your future self to your current self. And what I was asking, intuitively, obviously, is whether this extended is representing the current moment where you are struggling with not just feeling tired, right? But still having the safety that your innate protection provides you. And it's almost like the experience of going out there, of exposing yourself, right, is intensified here. So my question was, is this your current self that you're looking backwards to, when you felt like you had this safety and you felt like you could move freely because of it, and you had it's almost like you had a filter, like this buffer zone to protect you from negative influences or harmful thoughts or things, right? But here it's almost like, so this could be, you'll know how this is playing out in your life. If this is your future self, talking to you right now, or this is your current self looking backwards to when you felt that safe. So the reason why I'm saying that is because the opening card here in the extended Capricorn for you is the Knight of Swords. So usually when I have this sort of conversation, and this is really interesting because these are the two opening cards. So it's almost like these are the two main characters, right? But just coming from different timelines, really. It's almost like different ages, right? This is a much younger one, but this is not so far off. It's almost like they're just a few years ahead of you, or you know what I mean, right? If they are your current self, then this is just a few years back. So however it is, this is you, Capricorn, and this feels like you still have openness of mind that I saw here with the Page of Swords, but a little bit better. It's like you have more experiences, you have more just live experiences, right? Let's put it that way. But the way that you got here, it's not an easy path. It's almost like because you felt so safe, right? Because you felt like you had this free circulation, that you could come in and out of this space because you felt like you were an independent being. Whoever this version of you is, right? If this is your current self or this is your future self, their message, this guy, this Knight of Swords, is talking about growth, but growth in a way that you learn how to expose yourself because of this card here, the Six of Swords. So look how interesting. It's like when you were this page, right? You had this innocence about you. It's almost like the amount of possibility of, or attempts to penetrate your thought process were composed by 7 swords, right? And here, when you are, you know, a few years down the line, it's like you only lost 1 sword, or you only it's like you only decreased the intensity of things, of negative things penetrating your thoughts or your mind. It's just hard to really explain this. It's like the amount of, well, the degree of exposure or the degree of vulnerability, it's like it's almost the same, right? Because it's only lost 1 sword from this age to this age. We went from the 7 to the 6. But you see how the 6 swords here are aligned, whereas it's almost like these swords were more brutal, but you were unaware. It's almost like, and this is the reason why they were followed by the sun. And this is the reason why you felt so safe when you were this page, right? Because even though this negative potential was aimed at you and it was more intense, it's like now they were, well, at this age, right, or in this timeline, they are constant. It's almost like here there was like an interval, right? They came in groups, or they came in clusters, is that the word? But here it's like it's non-stopping. So the way that you learned becoming this Knight of Swords, right? It's like understanding how this works. It's like you are trying to reproduce the safe circulation or the safe passage that you found in the 9 of Pentacles here, right? Because it's almost like when you were in between them, right? Or when you were in between the dark thoughts, it's like you were safe, but this is really hard work. It's like it's time consuming, and it's almost like it grows really quickly because of these 2 cards. So we have 2 8s, right? It's like the fastest card in the deck, the 8 of Wands, but also the 8 of Swords. So this is the reason why I'm saying it's, if this is your future self, right? It's like, what are they trying to alert you to? This is my question, right? Because if this is your current self and you are going through this, it's like you have found a way to put yourself in the in-between, because this is a symbol of safe passage to you. But it's like you continue exposed, especially because here we don't have any pentacle cards. So it's almost like, have you lost touch, or is this like the warning from this future self? Like, just be more in the sun, right? Because the sun is powering, or it's fortifying these walls, right? So if you're trying to reproduce with your open mind, with everything that you have learned, how to stay in the free zone, right? Or in the free passage zone where the danger is not there, let's put it that way. It's like this is something that very quickly, because it is a constant thing, it has nothing to do with the original 6 of Swords message, right? It's just like talking about how to escape from constant negative influence. I'm trying to find a practical example, right? But it could be like play out in so many different ways. So with the 2 8s, you know, it's almost like this is the obstacle course that if you don't move quick enough, and this is also something that you might have learned from sensing the sun, or sensing like how this engine in your brain or in your mind works to, or worked, right, to keep you protected from these dark thoughts to penetrate you, right? Because remember when I was talking about in the first part, it's like this is it's like those martial arts things, right? That, you know, they just used so quickly. It's like they used to turn so quickly that you could even, like, you couldn't see the object, right? So, or a fan, a fan, if you want to see it that way. So the quicker it moves, the more efficient it becomes, and the less it is perceivable by the arrows, by the swords. So this is what you have learned, and this is what you're trying to reproduce, in a sense. This is what you're trying to, with, it's not a huge bag of knowledge. It's like you have learned just enough to try and work this out yourself in a way that is, well, still independent, right? But now it's almost like you have to pick up the pace, otherwise you won't have this gap. You won't have the free passage, because with the Eight of Swords, it's like now you don't have it, right? If you had the free passage here, very quickly, if you don't keep up with that, right? It's almost like you have to dodge some sort of negativity coming your way, right? Because it is inherently coming your way, because it's almost like it's been attracted to you, whether you called for it or not, which I don't feel like you did. It's almost like this is just how energy moves, right? Even more so when you're shining so brightly as the sun. So here, it's almost like there is no way to keep a safe passage or keep a free circulation in the midst of negativity. Like it's almost like it's very hard maintenance. It's like it moves very quickly, right? Because imagine, it's like the only reason why the Seven Swords didn't get to you, didn't penetrate your brain, your mind, your soul, your energy in the first place, was because this solar powered engine, right? This innate protection that you hold, it's like it was moving really, really fast. So it's almost like in order to keep up and maintaining that safe zone for you, you too have to keep up with it. But is exhausting, right? Remember when in the first part, when you felt safe enough to leave your home or to leave your comfort zone, because you have this free passage, it's like you are exposed to some of the negativity or some of the dark thoughts or the sharp thoughts. So you felt tired, meaning that you quickly wanted to go back in, right, through the same passage, but bringing something with you. But when you're trying to do this, it's almost like when you're trying to keep ice from melting, right? There is this phrase in Portuguese, enxugando gelo, that I don't really know how to translate, but it's like literally like that. You know, it's impossible. Even more so when you are under the sun, right? It's like the ice will melt and there's nothing you can do about it. So this is more or less what is happening, because it's like you're trying to do the work of the sun with maybe your internal mind, right? With your rational thought of like, I can tame this, I can do this, I can find a safe way through this, but is really high maintenance, right? There's something that really, really exhausts you, because we have now the Death card. So it's not something that is just mildly depleting you or mildly making you feel like you need to just lay down and have a good sleep. It's more than that. And I don't want to sound so dramatic with this card, but actually the difference from, you know, these two cards that were, showing up as the reason why you're feeling tired, and then a very cozy bed at your home, right? In your bedroom. It's like this was more or less like a controlled environment. With the death card, I saw like a hospital bed, and I don't want to be dramatic in that sense, right? It's just a metaphor to say that the exhaustion that might come, remember, if this is your future self, right? You're being prepared that if you try to keep on, trying to make yourself feel safe in a very exposed environment, in a very open environment that is, completely exposed to negativity, you will have to work harder or, faster, or you will have to keep on doing the work in order to find your way out of this, right? And this can be really, really, really depleting. This is what the difference of the Four of Swords and the Death card is showing me. So there's something about, like, maybe this is what I'm asking. It's like, is there a need for them to experience this? Or if this is a message coming, from a future self, then, they don't have to get, you don't have, Capricorn, to get, this is, my internal thought. You don't have to get to this point of extreme exhaustion, right? Maybe even ending up in a hospital bed, right? Because this is where it gets interesting. Remember when I was seeing with, you coming back to your free passage zone or your corridor where you are completely protected inside these walls, right? But with the Two Pentacles in the middle here with the Ten of Pentacles, it's like you brought something or someone with you. And this is where they show themselves. It's almost like they are close by. They are, if this is somebody, right? Because the way that it's showing up as the queen, as the King of Cups, especially after the Three of Cups. Well, this card here, after this very dramatic scene, right, came through as help. So if this eventually occurs in the future, right, and this is like a heads up that your future self is giving you, Capricorn, through this reading, or even if this is occurring right now, right, and you haven't, well, if you are in this point where you feel completely exhausted, right, know that in the past, maybe you don't remember, but you brought something or someone to, like, to enrich your environment or to enrich your relationships or to make you feel even more protected. It's like whatever it is or whoever they are, because now they feel like a person because of this king, ask them for help. There is a reason why you went out, you went away, you left your comfort zone, right? And you came back with them, or you came back with their contact, or you came back with something that reminds you of somebody that might help you in this future moment or even in this current moment, right? Because this Three of Cups, even though usually it comes with this very clear message of the co-creation of love, from love, it's actually coming through as help, as a very timid help. It's like, it's not a cry for help, even though, you might come to a stage where it's like you don't have like even voice. It's almost like you are so depleted that you don't have to scream or you don't have the strength to scream, right? It's just this very gentle, soft, low asking for help, asking to be, it's almost like to be embraced, to be held, to be, well, healed in a sense, right? Especially because it's almost like it doesn't matter the tone of your voice, or, well, it's not about the tone exactly, because the tone matters here. It's like the tone of your heart. It's like they can hear the tone of your heart, or the frequency of your heart. So that is a reason why you don't, even though you can be, or you are in a very intense, transformative moment, right? Or you get to this point that you really cannot, you don't have the strength to call anyone, right? It's like there is this extreme exhaustion. This is what I'm seeing with the Death card. But even thinking, it's almost like in the realm of the water, it's like, it's almost like telepathy, right? This communication, it's like you don't have to speak out loud. It's like you don't even have to, you know, say anything. Maybe you can just send out the intention of asking for help. And because you let them in, maybe in the past, or, you know, if the first part is the future, is the present, and this is the future, it's like somehow what you're bringing with you is clearing the way and giving this other person, or giving this signal to them that they can too have a free circulation towards you, right? They have this safe passage as well, right? And because of that, it's like they are connected to your heart in a way that they are capable of helping. It's like they are just standing by, waiting for your call, waiting for you to ask for help. So I feel like somehow this is this like a heads up that you can prevent the situation from coming through? Is this something that you can prepare for? I really don't know, Capricorn, because I do have a feeling that this is a future self communicating to your current self. But, you know, it will fit you how it has to fit you right now. Just know that there is somebody there that has all of the good intentions of helping you, right? And they are there to that end. It's like you brought them in, you know, maybe not intending that they would help you in the future, but somehow it's like they are just able to do so. So do not restrain yourself from doing so. It's almost like whenever you feel like you need, ask for it. So now I'm exhausted. Let's see what the astrological runes have to add as a final guidance for you, Capricorn. Okay, so we have 2 rooms. Okay, I don't know if this is like a personal side note or like a very, you know, sneaky signal for me personally. So we have the moon and Scorpio, and my moon is in Scorpio. And you know, this is what I was talking about. This card was in Scorpio's reading about being attacked, or being the target of negativity. So I'm gonna say this from my perspective of having a moon in Scorpio, okay? And I'm a Cancerian, so my moon is very significant in my birth chart. I don't know you, Capricorn, but however your sensitive side comes online, right, or is depleted, because Scorpio can be a very profound and intense sign. So if your sensitive side or your emotional side is depleted, do not feel like you are overwhelmed with destruction, or with, like, do not feel defeated, right? It's almost like use the power of this rebirthing that Scorpio carries, right? Instead of focusing just on what you're losing or what you're being depleted. So this is talking about extreme intuition and extreme sensitivity, but there's also a flip side of intensity, and that can be too much at times. So if this sort of extreme exhaustion is coming to a point that you feel like you're dying, yes, from my own experience, it can get intense to that point. You're not, okay? You're not. It's just this rebirthing process, and maybe even we're talking about this, rebirthing process of your own sensitivity, of your own intuitive abilities, of your own psychic gifts, right? So this really took an interesting turn here. I feel like this is all about being really, really open to your gifts, truly, right? Even though you might feel like there are times where you are more exposed to negativity, right? It's almost like because you are exploring that. So it's almost like you're testing out your gifts or like your limits, right? Maybe this is a reason why here you are trying to do so on your own, or trying to expose yourself to an even harder obstacle course, right? It's like putting yourself on the edge, right? And seeing how far you can go. Maybe this is all we're talking about, and maybe we're talking about something that hasn't really happened, but it could get to a point that is really intense and requires that you really slow down. It's almost like this complete reset of yourself, right? And asking for help is, or it seems to be, like the best alternative for when this happens. So I hope this was insightful to you, Capricorn. I have to say it was really intense, and I will definitely have to watch again this reading, especially because of these two runes here at the end. So yeah, thank you so much for being here with me, and I'll see you next time. Okay, bye.